A group of kids are on a camping trip in the woods, and they run into an evil spirit, the Manaha, which are Native American ghosts. This is a story told by Tucker, Gary's younger brother, and when this Midnight Society meets in the clearing, we get a jump scare. That's right. Tucker is dressing up in one of his costumes and pranking the Midnight Society, starts roaring like a bear and comes at them, and they think it's actually a bear that's on 2 feet chasing him. And of course, it's just Tucker in a costume. What a prankster. He starts the story. We're at a summer camp called Camp Tawaki, where 4 people are going to go on an overnight camp out. And the camp counselor, who looks like he's about 3 years older than the kids, is Lonnie. And he's in full drill sergeant mode. He's yelling at them. He's being mean. He's telling them to get themselves in shape. But because it looks like these kids are 12 to 13 and Lonnie's 16, I do think it is a better choice than having like an adult yell at them. That would come off as maybe too aggressive. This is basically an Eagle Scout that's looking down at the Cub Scouts. That's the impression I'm getting. And finally, we get an episode that does concentrate on camping. They use the woods a lot because it's very cheap. You don't need any permits to just shoot in the woods. Anyone can go out there and do whatever the hell they want. But here we get an actual camping trip that makes sense, and a couple great villains. Jonah is the main character, this kid right here, and he's a know-it-all. He talks about Oscar Butts' manual, who I checked to see if that's actually a real person, but of course it's not. His name's Oscar Butts. But apparently Oscar Butts was a world-renowned survivalist and wrote in his manual on how to survive in the woods. And to come prepared, like bringing a can opener, bringing a switchblade, stuff that Lonnie can't figure out on his own. And they come upon a small cave. Jonah walks into it. There's Native American drawings of gorilla monsters. A small statue that's just tempting him to take it. Jonah's a regular Indiana Jones. He gets greeted by the main villain, the Manaha, though this is the Manaha shaman. He's able to conjure up other people of his kind in order to chase these kids through the woods. So he's real, this guy, but he's going to summon some ghosts. And Lonnie, like a doofus, decides to take this statue away from the Manaha because he thinks he can get a great deal for it. And selling this ancient statue is going to make him rich. That's not what's going to happen. It's just going to cause this shaman to conjure up ghosts to try to tie these kids up and take the statue back. And this episode almost has a cop-out ending. About 5 minutes before it ends, Jonah goes around talking about, if you don't believe in monsters, they can't come out and get you. And I was like, oh no, is this going to be him just saying he doesn't believe in the monsters and everything goes back to normal? But luckily, it's a false ending. We get to see these monsters quite a bit throughout the episode, and defeating them is a little more difficult than just not believing in them. My favorite part of the episode is when they come upon the Rangers' cabin. You see, Lonnie is the one who's leading this Eagle Scout quest overnight, but there is an adult as well who's sort of keeping an eye on the kids. But they come into the ranger station, the place is completely trashed, and he is kidnapped. Another great way of removing the adult from this situation. Are You Afraid of the Dark always does that. Adults cannot save the kids. They always have to save themselves. But seeing this place completely torn apart is not something that I expected, since they try not to have people actually die in this series. Find out that the ranger has just been captured, but at that moment you're not really sure. So did they actually kill him? So the forest ranger has been kidnapped, but the ghosts also get Lonnie and one of the kids they were camping with, Eddie, and they wrap them up in bark and put tape over their mouths. Jonah's not going to get out of this one so easily, but Jonah's able to use this statue to turn the Manaha against the shaman himself, since a lot of the power of these ghosts come from whether you believe in them or not. And yes, they're definitely referencing Indiana Jones as he places this statue back into the cave. And Tucker ends the story saying that Jonah, the main character, was small, besides has nothing to do with how brave you are. It has to do with how smart you are and what is in your heart. Tucker is also referencing himself, since he's the smallest person in this Midnight Society, and I believe the youngest as well. Gary's quite a bit bigger than him. And so I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10. We get some good villains, and there's some spooky moments where they're making creaks in the bushes, and you're not really sure how many there are either. Looks like there's about 3 ghosts, but all the ghosts look very similar to the shaman himself, so you're not sure if it's a ghost or if it's the shaman. And they wait till the end to really tell you that he's the one conjuring these ghosts, because it seems like they're absolutely everywhere chasing these kids through the woods. However, I did find some people online, the only 2 reviews I could find, that seem to not like this episode very much, so let's see if we can read them and figure out why. This person gave it a 3 out of 10. Pretty dire. Honestly, one of the worst episodes of the series. I've always loved this show for the scares, fun, interesting characters, and well done for a show of its time direction. None of that is present here. Fairly directionless and horribly cliched. Pretty awful acting all around. I guess I didn't like the camp counselor. I thought it was pretty funny. A bit worse than usual for the series, from the ridiculously obnoxious, over-the-top aggro camp counselor to the constant fat shaming of the bigger kid. That's actually one thing I didn't like. They show this fatter kid just eating stuff. He doesn't do anything else in this episode. He's just there to make fat jokes, I guess. They just see him eat stuff, and it's kind of gross. So I agree with him on that. Seems like they did that a lot in like the 90s. The fat kid would just be like the comic relief, but he does absolutely nothing in this episode. It's not even worth mentioning. The kids in general just not being interesting at all due to the poor script, to the cliched Native American depiction. It just doesn't work at all. An episode like this in the woods is so primed for great stories, but not this time. I've been doing a rewatch of the whole series this year, and I gotta say, a good chunk of the episodes hold up quite well. Not this one, though. Well, I disagree, but I guess if you hate the camp counselor, think it's cliche, which I actually think conjuring ghosts in the middle of the woods by this Native American tribe is original enough. It's not just a bear chasing them through the woods. Only other review is responding to the 3 out of 10. This person gave it a 7 out of 10. 3.5 by that other person? Silly. It's not the best or most creative episode. Heck, even most of the characters are dumb, but it definitely deserves better than a 3.4. It's your classic monster in the forest, believe in yourself kind of story. It has some inspiration, some scares, a trashed ranger room, and I think it's A-OK. Next up is the tale of the unexpected visitor. About aliens that come out of the computer? Awesome. This will be the second episode talking about computers. And check out our playlist for the other series that we've covered. We've done Monsters, Fear Itself, Tales from the Dark Side. And we're currently doing Black Mirror, Twilight Zone, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Mystery Science Theater 3000. Thank you.